All right, well, welcome everyone to this tantric workshop. Today we're going to be focusing tantra practice primarily on how we can bring abundance into our life, really focusing on the aspect of how harnessing the energies that come from practicing tantra can really create more powerful alignment with your dharma. Dharma means to walk your path. It is the path that we have been set forth to be on this planet. It is what is in the highest alignment for us to walk our Dharma. So that's what Dharma means. One of the things I feel is really important to speak a little bit more about Dharma is when you are on your path, when you're walking your truest path and live into your highest, things come into alignment for you. It's easy to manifest things and feelings a lot easier when you're walking your Dharma, when you're on your path. You'll notice if you're not, because things become difficult. You will find unhappiness in jobs. You might find unhappiness in relationship. And if this is a constant state, the universal consciousness is asking you to look at things in a different way. So Tantra really teaches us to change our perspective of what is currently around and become the witness of our reality. Something I wrote I thought was really beautiful is when we're fully engaged in the moment, divinity is expressed through us. It is remembrance that we've come to this planet for a purpose. And when we act on this purpose, all of humanity is nourished. We begin to co-create life with the universe as the universe conspires with us. So I think that is a true important part that really led me into practice in Tantra. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get into this. Okay. Can everyone see my screen all right?
Yes.
Great. So after every slide, I'm going to take a break for any questions that want to be asked, anything that wants to be known. We can take a deeper dive through any of this. No need to rush through this. We'll be in the presence as things arise. Let's be within that and we'll move at that speed so we don't feel rushed, or if there's something that really wants to be shared, raise your hand. There's a little thing on the bottom that allows you to raise your hand and I'll see and I can call if there's anything that wants to be known. All right, so let me get this lower first. There we go. Okay. So as we start into this, bringing in the Tantra, what we first want to know is what is Tantra? So Tantra can be broken down into two parts. The first part is Tan, which means expansion. And then the second part of the word is tra, meaning liberation. So this is a Sanskrit word to expand and liberate ourselves from any conditionings that have been put on us in this mortal form, in this human body. So that is what true Tantra is. Tantra also is a practice. There's a saying by Sadhguru that there is no yogi or guru that does not have a tantra, which is a practice. The parts that are big in tantra is everything has consciousness. So with this understanding is, you know, your pillow has a consciousness, your water bottle, like your computer, everything is made up of the same energy that we're made up of. So everything has a conscious. So it's conscious awareness that everything has an understanding that it exists. Even if it is just an object, it understands that it is there. And through our understanding and perception, that is something in front of us, brings it into the reality. So this is a beautiful part of Tantra. one of my favorite things I think that really ties this together for me was I used to hate doing dishes. And I read this book about this, like what would Buddha do? It was like a bathroom book. It was really, really cute. And it talked about washing the dishes as if you're washing yourself, to take time with each dish and clean it as if you are cleaning yourself. And doing dishes actually became a form of meditation for me. And it's actually one of my favorite things to do now, because I brought conscious awareness to the moment of like washing each dish, that that object has like a knowing that it is there, that it is being watched. So that's a little bit about the conscious awareness part of Tantra. The biggest part that Tantra really teaches us is it's non-dualistic. A lot of us understand the dualities within life. We have, masculine, feminine. We have life, death. We have man, nature. So these, like yin and yang, these are dualistic understandings of energies within the world, within our oneself. But Tantra is about the bridge between the two. So it is not to live in the duality. I am man, I am masculine, I am feminine, I am female. It is not about identifying with a single archetype, but to come into balance with both. When you balance these dualistic energies, you are practicing the highest form of Tantra. So, yeah. Any questions so far about that part? A little bit about the introduction of Tantra? No? Okay, I will go on. We will go to the next part. Okay, so Tantra is a spiritual discipline, as I talked about a little bit before. It is essentially a form of yoga. So yoga is an extremely subtle science, which focuses on bringing harmonious balance between the mind and body. It is an art and science of healthy living. The word yoga, which is derived from a Sanskrit word, is to yok, means to join or to yoke or to unite. So when you practice yoga, your asanas is you're actually bringing together the mind and the body. It is known in yoga and in Tantra that to spiritually ascend, you actually need a body. So in this discipline, we use our body and do asanas, which are subtle movements of our body, to reach these heightened states. So when a yogi subscribes to this practice, it leads them to the unification of individual consciousness with that of universal consciousness, indicating a perfect harmony balance between the mind, body, human nature, yin, yang, masculine, feminine, and life and death. Tantra teaches us to understand these dualities, but not to live in them. So to practice Tantra, and I love this line, is to see these dualistic energies as two sides of the same coin. And when we do that, we understand that it is oneness. We are one with that. And both of those energies live within us. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the sexual part of Tantra. Currently, what you see practiced a lot in our modern day culture is Neo-Tantra. Neo-Tantra is very different than Tantra, for it focuses primarily on sexual energy. And that sexual energy, what it really is doing is the unification between the divine lovers within. This is really focusing on the masculine and feminine energies within us. This is a lot of this that they believe is about unbinding the sexual energy, which is what's practiced in Neo-Tantra. And the sexual energy is definitely a foundation. It's to ensure the species, our species of humans, live on. At the same time, we really need to be aware of the limitations of practicing a single style of Tantra, and how far that can really carry us. So when we recognize the limitations and where the yearning to touch the multidimensional facets of life is when we truly open up to the Tantra practice. This is when it's revealed to us, is the yearning to expand, the expansion. So to limit ourselves just into the sexual practice of Neo-Tantra is one aspect, but it's a beautiful aspect. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit deeper because I know a lot about Neo-Tantra. So by focusing on sexual energy between the masculine and feminine, we liberate ourselves from conditioning that has been forced upon us in society. So in our society, there's three powers. It is sex, money, and power. These are the three things that focus control over people to control the masses, to control the expansiveness of consciousness that we are capable of. So you do not have to huff and puff to get into an orgasmic state. You can sit in meditation and you can drip with orgasms with every cell of your body. Those who have failed to achieve this orgasmic state of experience will associate an ecstatic state with sexuality because it is possibly the highest level of experience they have ever known. So a lot of the Neo-Tantra really speaks into this. I think what is occurring is people are like, I have sexual needs, so I will follow this tantric practice. It's a great stepping stone. Most people get into Tantra because of the sexual desires that we have, because of the unbalanced masculine and feminine energies that we've had. I mean, we've lived in a patriarchal world for a really long time, a very male or masculine dominant culture, and we're just opening up to these different energies. So these sexual urges is really a desire for us to be seen. To be seen is to open up those vulnerable places within oneself and share that with another. And this allows us to tap in to those energies within the opposite sex. That's if it's a heterosexual relationship. And if it's not, there's still a masculine or feminine energy polarity that each person will be bringing into unification. This is where we get to meet those inner energies, and that's why Neo-Tantra is very beneficial, and it's just powerful because it really goes beyond the compulsiveness of the mind and body. Is what Tantra teaches us, is to let go of the compulsive desires that keep us trapped in those limitations, and to realize that our body is like, what we're wanting to do is to learn how to use our body not as oneself, but as a stepping stone to deliver this being to the highest possible dimension. This is the conscious awareness between the self and the not self. So you guys following me on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. Just a question. So, I mean, kind of, you started talking about the non-duality and kind of living in that space between the duality.
Yeah.
But then the bit that's intrigued me about it in the past, and the bit that I've kind of has resonated me with is this kind of energy flows, which requires this polarity of, energy flowing from one pole to another, which kind of is a duality. So I guess I'm just trying to understand the kind of non-duality nature of it that requires this duality. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, I totally understand. So without the duality, we wouldn't understand the sides of the scales that those are the boundaries, those are the edges. Like you would have a scale that would weigh something, and in yoga, in a lot of Tibetan culture and Hindu cultures, it's about coming into balance. Tantra is the practice of that balance. So the duality is needed, for without the duality, there is no balance. No, we have somebody else coming to join us. How do I do this?
Oh, I got him.
Okay, thank you. So the duality in particular, what we're speaking about now, which is the masculine and feminine energy, or yin and yang energies, is needed. And without knowing the dualities, we cannot know balance within that. So we're going to tap in deeper on this play shop, where we're actually going to talk about these different energies and see how they might come up for each one of us in life as well. Did that answer your question?
No, that's perfect. That really helps me understand. Thank you.
Cool. Welcome. New person who just joined. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Doesn't look like they have their mic connected.
It's weird. I can't see my mouse. Okay. Well, if you can hear me, we just talked a little bit about what Tantra is, just to go over and breaking down the actual word Tantra, which is expansion and liberation. We touched a little bit on the dualistic energies of like yin and yang, life and death, and how Tantra is the practice of the unification of those dualistic energies. So it's a little bit about where we are, and we're just got into Neo-Tantra. And one of the most beautiful things about Neo-Tantra, what it teaches us, is how to use this powerful energy once it's united to manifest what we really want in life. So sexual energy can be fulfilled by forming a relationship for a purpose, either within or outside, to come into fruition. Tantric process is not only used for the individual spiritual growth, but also to create an energetic space to support many other possibilities. So what I'm talking about in Neo-Tantra, they actually call this like sex magic. So if you've heard that term before, this is a breakdown of sex magic, but one of the important things to know is you don't need a partner. I practice this particular modality with myself most mornings. So you wake up, and sometimes you wake up feeling aroused energy, or you can actually take and arouse yourself, which is the lower chakras. So we're going to talk into that. So this is the sacral chakra that you activate. And by activating the sacral chakra, which is the creative energy, this is the life force energy of where, babies come from, where things are actually born into the world. So this energy is very, very powerful with creation. And when we take this energy and use the physical kundalini energy that is taught in Tantra, our manifestations become extremely powerful. So what we're doing is taking this energy, and then the practice I use is the microcosmic orbit. So after this slide, we're actually going to practice that before, and I'll walk us through the microcosmic orbit. So what you're doing is you're taking this energy and you're actually breathing it up into your third eye by using this practice. This is the seed of consciousness. This is, Shiva. So the sexual energy, the sacral, is Shakti. So in Kundalini, you're actually taking Shakti and you're raising the energy and meeting her divine lover, which is the seed of consciousness. So this is an energetic exchange within balancing in your own self between your own masculine and feminine. And I love this quote. I can't remember who wrote it, but everything that's ever been created was first created in the mind. I love that one. So by breathing this energy, is everyone still with me? They're understanding where we're at, what we're talking about?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So by taking this energy and breathing it up into the seat of consciousness, into our third eye, we're able to bring that energy out into the world, and it actually transforms into fire. So then the energy moves down, which is chi energy. And I could talk a little bit about that. So the sacral chakra, you're actually pulling what is known as Jin energy, which is outside energy. Basically, the air around you where you're sitting right now is currently filled with like neurons and different energy in the atmosphere around you. So when you pull that energy up through the mula bandha, up through the coccyx of your lower chakras, you breathe that energy into the seed of consciousness until the thought, which is where we formulate plans. You ever wake in the morning and you're like thinking about what you have to do for the day, what's going on? That's a very masculine state, is problem solving. So the step that we're taking now, once we've brought it into the Jin, we're bringing it into chi energy, which is becoming the magician. This is our mula bandha. This is our solar plex, our fire, our stomach, also known as one of the three dantians, which is our brain. So the fire element is to actually, after you know what you want to do, is to take that action, is to bring that personal power of creation and bring it into your reality, to take the physical steps into actually creating what you want to do. So it's not just about the manifestation. The manifestation happens when you change that energy from creation into the thought process. And then there's the state of actually doing. This is your own willpower. This is where you're able to really bring in that energy and bring it into the world. So this is so weird that I can't see my, there we go. Okay. Can you guys see me now?
Yes.
All right. So before we go into the microcosmic orbit, I want to make sure people understand this energy exchange that I just broke down. Is there any questions so far? Anything that's come up for anyone so far in this presentation that would like to be asked?
So I guess that energy exchange, is that just through visualization, or how do you initiate that, I guess?
Yeah, it's a form of breath work with physically constricting of the body while visualizing the energy flowing up into the third eye. So I'm going to get into the breakdown of the energy exchange, and we're going to practice this together. Has anyone here done microcosmic orbit breathing techniques before?
Yes.
You have. Okay, cool. So yeah, yes, to your question, it is visualization. You're gonna visualize, and I'll break down the visualize, how you visualize this. And is that something that feels good? Are you good at visualizing, Hermish? Is that something that you can do well? Because some people have a hard time with the visualization part. And if not, there's also more energetic.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute, but yeah, no, I do. Yeah, I get that completely. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, don't need you. Yeah, and then the other one is energetic. So if you're not big into visualization, you can just energetically feel the energy as it moves. So going to go back onto screen share, and we're going to move into the next part here, the microcosmic orbit. So the microcosmic orbit is also known as the self-winding wheel. This is a Taoist Qigong cultivation energy technique. It involves deep breathing exercise in conjunct with meditation and these techniques of developing the flow of the qi within the pathways inside of the human body. So before we talk about how to do it, there's an aspect that's extremely important, and I've noticed a lot of people don't talk about this in the microcosmic orbit. So there's an area in our body known as the Jade Pillow. So if everyone wants to just tilt your head forward and have your chin touch your chest, and if you put your finger at the very top of your spine where it actually meets the back of your skull, if you press there a little bit or give it a little bit of tapping, what we're doing is we're activating this Jade Pillow. This is, if you know acupuncture, this is governed in vessel GV20, which is just below the center point of the head, about too soon. This meridian actually travels all the way down to the coccyx, to the very bottom, to our perineum. So this is one of the channels that are that we're going to be activating in here. So let's get into what we're going to be doing, and then I'm going to give everyone a couple of moments to practice this on your own. So this picture right here on the right is the best asphyxiation that they have of the microcosmic orbit. And one of my favorite things is it's basically an infinity. So the energy goes up, down, and then actually switches at the bottom and then goes up the foot and up the other way. We're going to be focusing a lot in our solar plex area. So you first cultivate the area in the solar plex. You see the spinning wheel in that picture there. And then as we breathe in, you actually breathe in by locking your perineum or your mula bandha, and you breathe up the back of your spine. And you're going to breathe up, and it's going to come up to that jade pillow in the back of your head. And then right at your third eye, you'll begin to exhale. And when you exhale, you'll see the water flows down the front and then back down to the sacral chakra. While you do this, you're going to have your tongue pushed up against the roof of your mouth. This actually completes the channel of the microcosmic orbit. And it's interesting, when babies are born, they actually have their tongue pressed up against the roof of their mouth. And for the first year of their life, that's a very comfortable position for them. This position is a strong position that they believe helps them download information into the subconscious mind. So this channel is really, really powerful, and it's been practiced for over 500 years or longer. So one of the things about Tantra is the texts are so old that some of them we don't even know how to depiculate and convert for understanding. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to read this off to you, and then see if everyone feels comfortable about it, and then we'll take a moment with ourselves doing it. And you could actually get into a position. Is everyone in a comfortable position right now where they can practice this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you can, go ahead and take a seat and calm the mind, still the body, and regulate your breath. Spend a moment within yourself, feeling yourself within. Shut down all of your senses and begin to lower your eyelids. Being in your own space, take your tongue and push it up against the roof of your mouth. While you're sitting here in steady breath, begin to just visualize a pocket of energy down in your umbilical cord region. And just visualize this energy in there, this fire center. This glowing point, clear and bright and immensely pure. Begin to focus your attention on the navel. And then just come into this quietness. So now we're going to breathe, inhale and tightening that mula bandha, feeling the energy going up our spine. So inhale. And then when you exhale, feel it going down the front of the spine. And continue this breath, taking that sexual energy down below, breathing it up the spine. Exhale down the front. And just create this spinning wheel inside your body. Clenching your perineum, let a mula bandha every time on the inhale. When you feel the energy has gone past up in the mind, start visualizing this energy begin to rise even more. It comes up, meeting your spine and your ribs. Like filling your own cup. Exhaling water, allow it to come down, releasing the tension. Now begin to visualize a pearl-like ball inside of your head. And every time you inhale, you begin to fill this pearl with even more energy. And as you exhale, that spinning wheel down below begins to get bigger. If you're wanting to create more energy, you can go with a faster breath. If you're wanting to calm yourself, you can stay calm with the breath. Take it as far as you want. And now as we come to a close, do big, big inhales, the biggest ones. And you could exhale through your mouth, keeping your tongue at the top. And then begin to just come to normal breathing. Finding your own flow within your breath. And when it feels good and loving to you, slowly open your eyes and come back into this reality with us. Open if anyone wants to share anything that came up for them or any experience within that little bit of movement. How did that feel?
I guess at the start, when you were talking about the energy point in my umbilical region, I felt real heat, which was interesting. I found when I was trying to breathe up the back of my spine, the energy was coming up to my shoulders and just kind of spreading across my shoulders and kind of dissipating. So I don't know, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, that's normal as well. Sometimes it takes practice in this multiple times before you're able to complete the full circuit, but I'm gonna, go sideways, and as it comes up to the shoulders, you might want to try inhaling more, like pulling more energy, and you're also locking like the amula bandha, which is that anal gland. You're pulling the energy, sucking energy in. Maybe the next time you try this practice, and there's YouTube videos too for this as well that you can look up that might, for me, I notice sometimes someone will explain something to me and it's like, okay, I kind of get it. And then someone else explains it and I'm like, oh, that landed for me. So I would suggest doing that. This practice is a huge practice of Tantra. This particular breath work is found in every tantrika's practice. And what we did before by tilting our head and just tapping that area, that jade pillow, is we're beginning to activate that meridian channel when we tap on there. So I would practice it a couple more times and see if you're able to get it over the top of your head into that third eye where it crosses, and then you exhale and bring it down. Yeah, anything else that came up for you in that? Anyone else? Okay. All right. We are going to move on to the next part here. Okay. So now one of the things that really what I really gained from practicing Tantra was an understanding between the mind, body, and spirit. This is a trine. I teach another class called Jedi Activation, which is based primarily on this trine. And I've noticed that all of us can understand the trine, like where is our body at? Where's our physical health? Where do we feel physically strong? Do we feel physically like needing help? Do we have wellness problems? Are we like there's a lot of different things that the body tells us about where we're physically at in this world. And our body is just a vehicle. The body is just a vehicle here. And when we leave this body behind. But while you're here on this planet, the vehicle you drive can be upgraded. You can be driving the Tesla of humanity if you chose to work on that aspect. Then there's the mind. The mind has the ability to get out of the vehicle and actually become more like a plane. So no longer do you have to be limited by the roads of how we need to maneuver physically in this world. The mind can take us to places that the body can't. When we read, you start reading into different fiction novels, you start to travel to different dimensions and create different understandings of these realities and dimensions that are in your mind. And as I said before, whatever is created in the mind, everything that was created in reality is created in the mind first. I truly believe that if I could think about it, that it actually exists. And that belief that whatever I think about is in existence brings it into reality. That's the magician. That's the bringing it into the reality. And then there's the spirit body. It's the part I've noticed a lot of gurus in the past, they were usually overweight, happy, joyful people that sat around and just told awesome stories. I've noticed some of my favorite spiritual teachers are kind of comedians in a way, because they don't take much serious anymore because they're living in a spirit realm. They understand that they're connected to infinite consciousness. So this trine, I feel, speaks a lot about the body, mind, and spirit, and what Tantra is teaching us to understand is when we come into the harmonious balance within this trine, we feel wellness. We achieve this state of wellness within us. And I believe the new gurus that we'll see in the future, they're going to be physically fit people. They're going to be highly educated in new system designs in the new paradigm that's created. And they're going to be connected to source and be able to realize not to take it seriously, but still be within the trine of that. So the things that Tantra really helps us with is it goes beyond the compulsiveness of the body and mind. It does not keep us trapped in limitations. We spoke a little bit about the limitations that we have here in this physical plane and how Tantra teaches us to expand past these limitations. We learn how to use our body as a stepping stone to deliver us to this higher level of consciousness. So this really talks about the self and the not self, which we're going to get in a little bit more. I'm going to talk about the 8 limbs of Tantra after this. So conscious awareness between the self and not self. Obviously, I put that in there as well. And equanimity, which is one of my favorite words. Equanimity is the practice of loving kindness, compassion, and empathetic joy. So these are powerful aspects that are achieved through practicing, through the tantric practice. So now we're going to get into the 8 limbs of Tantra. This is, has anyone heard of the 8 limbs of Tantra before? Is this new to anyone? All right, well, so this is beautiful. Anyone that is in the tantric practice, I would suggest delving deeper into this. We're going to just give a brief like overview of these 8 limbs, but it goes so much deeper, particularly with the Yamas and the Niyamas. So the 8 limbs of Tantra can help us better understand ourselves and the connection to the spirit and energy. The Yamas and Niyamas, which are the basic guidelines of yoga, these are the principles of how you treat oneself and how you treat others. So that's really beautiful. Then we have, where are we? Guidelines followed. Then we have asanas. So these are the yoga positions. This is when you go to yoga class and you move your body. I spoke a little bit earlier about that you need a physical body to achieve infinite consciousness connection. The movement of the body and these poses is really important because then we learn about the self and the not self. The mind is part of consciousness. It is the not self. The physical body is the physical self. So the asanas teach us the yoga to yoke is to be aware of that aspect. Then we have dharna, which is concentration. This is when we actually let go of the thoughts that come up in our mind. You ever sit in meditation and there's thoughts that keep coming in and then you get caught on a thought and it's like being stuck in an eddy on a river. I like to think of dharna as a concentration to let go of thoughts. It's the concentration of not fixated on any one thing. How this works for me is I see thoughts as a flowing river above my head, and thoughts come in, and that's okay. And when they come in, I let them out. If one gets stuck in there, it gets stuck in an eddy. If you've ever been to a river, you'll see a section of water that's actually flowing the opposite direction along the sides of the shore. So the dharna is the concentration of letting go. Then we have patihara, which is withdrawal of the senses. So this is the physical sensation of being alive. This is the physical senses of the breath moving through our nose, the heartbeat within our chest. This is the disconnection from the self. This is the letting go and becoming into a state of the spiritual aspect. Then pranayama, which is what we just practiced, which is a breath work. This is what helps us activate nadis in our body. Nadis. So meridians in Chinese medicine is the same as nadis in yoga practice. We have our 7 main chakras that have become known. And the truth is we have thousands of chakras throughout our whole body, but they're just smaller. They're connections through our body. If anyone has heard of a ley lines are around our whole entire planets, these energetic crosses, and they're known as vortexes, if you've ever heard that term before. So the nadis are coincided very much like they are in our body as well. So breath work activates these different center points of energy and allows stagnant energy to move. My favorite, I'm breathwork facilitator trained, and I really enjoy breathwork. And then we have Dhyan, which is the devotion. This is a form of bhakti yoga. Bhakti means to be devoted. This is to reach the inner love. This is the state of being constantly in the infinite consciousness, being connected to all. There's a saying that I think goes with this well that just came to me. I think it was Robin Williams. He said, "Be mindful on how you speak to others, for you do not know what they are going through." This is knowing that all of us carry some kind of pain, some self-judgment. Someone might be going through a breakup, but walking around with a beautiful smile on their face. So the bhakti yoga is to understand that we all feel joy and we all feel pain. So we speak from a place of infinite consciousness, which is a place of like pure love essence when we speak to another. And then the last one is samadhi. Samadhi is a state of ecstasy. It is the ecstatic feeling you get when your subconscious connects with infinite consciousness, also known as nirvana. So that is the highest form. And it pretty much goes in this pattern of the 8 limbs is how I've been practicing it. I don't know if it has to go in that particular form, but this is a really good practice, and I advise anyone that wants to get deeper into it to start with the Yamas and Niyamas. Those are really beautiful and fun, and I spent almost a year just on those 2 and carrying it around on a sheet with me in my pocket, actually, at festivals and stuff. And after I would talk to someone, I would be like, did I really practice this? Was I kind? Was I, gentle with myself and others? So any questions about the 8 limbs before we move on? Okay.
I love that you carried that around in your pocket. That's nice. And I also really like the just the kind of metaphor comparison to the ley lines. That really landed for me.
Yeah, I actually did a breathwork set. I'm gonna get out of this. I actually did a breathwork practice here with myself about a month ago, and I went into a full like psychedelic state. It was like an hour of doing what is known as connective breath work. And I met this basically gatekeeper for the ley lines on our planet. And he told me that all of the ley lines on our planet are correlated to the nadis or meridians in our body. And when you go to these ley lines, to these vortexes, you can open up a portal that will open up that chakra system within you that brings you into that deeper state of awareness and understanding of the oneness that we are all made of. So beautiful. It's on my Facebook page. If you want to scroll down, it's down there about a couple weeks ago, but really powerful breathwork session. So yeah, that's where I learned that. It's from him.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go into the next part, which is one of my favorites. So, solace in unity. So, this is where we talk about the actual unification of these energies and how to achieve that. So by bringing balance between the masculine and feminine, or Shiva and Shakti, Shiva being the masculine, the seed of universal consciousness, Shakti being the feminine, the creator of all life. We no longer have to look outside ourselves to fill a void. We, as humans, have desires to connect and share energies with one another, just like we crave to feel connected to the divine. So when we start practicing Tantra, we begin to understand our mind, body, and soul much better. We become comfortable with ourselves and the whole world around us. We understand that the divine union is actually within all of us. So this is powerful for when we really understand this. This is from, and it can go either way. Like you could do it bottom up, which I feel is the feminine approach, which is you feel the unification, and then it rises up into the seat of consciousness and becomes a knowing. And then the masculine approach is, ooh, I understand this. I know that there's balance. And then you can breathe that energy down into the center of the heart and breathe. That's the bridge. It's the center chakra there. So what we're really wanting to do is liberate ourselves from the current understanding of sexuality that is in the world, because I think a lot of this masculine feminine energy has been converted through neo-tantra, and in our world between patriarchal living and these different energies of being bad or good. And we're gonna scrap that. We're gonna let go of opposite sexes. We're gonna let go of, we're going to let go of the dualistic approach of life and come into the feeling, the emotion, the understanding of oneness. So we're going to talk about the energies that are associated particular within masculine and feminine. And I also teach workshops on masculine and feminine energies and work with people for this. So if you want to know why I'm choosing this route instead of yin and yang, is one, it's really popular in our culture right now. I think a lot of people are talking about masculine and feminine energy, and it is something I know the most about. So here's just some energies that I've listed, that I've identified. So masculine energy is fire. It's rational, it's driven, it has discernment, it has direction, it's logical, it's mission oriented. This is the structure, the action, this is holding on. So this is what I found associated with masculine energy. Feminine energy is the water. It's intuition, it is flow, it is trusting, it lets go, it is opening up, it is infinite, nurturing, it is feelings. I think I put intuition in there twice. Very intuitional. It's creative, it's soft. This is letting go. And then the picture I put here in front of you just shows a little bit between the energies of healthy masculine energy, healthy feminine, and some toxic masculine energies and some toxic feminine energies. So you can see there's like clear direction in the masculine, it's planning, it's action. There's a humbleness to it, there's accountability, there's good, healthy boundaries, grounded, supportive. They're really good at giving and receiving love. And then you see the toxic part is more controlling, overpowering, self-absorbed, self-righteous, judging of others, rigid in the way that they even stand and hold themselves. And then it's transactional. To give and receive means I give you something, I must receive. I love, if anyone knows about the Burning Man principles, one of them is gift giving. And to give is to not give to receive or expect to receive. The gift of giving is giving. That is the gift. So that's something really powerful. And then healthy feminine, it's trusting, intuition, empathy, unconditional love, more flexible, soft. And then the toxic parts is giving their power away, victimization, codependency, manipulation, blame, helpless, neediness. So these are really big energies. So I would love to open it up now, a couple of questions to just tap in and share some stories with one another. Or what are some of the ways that you have seen your masculine or feminine show up, and have you been able to identify these different energies? And if anyone wants to share a story on that, would love to hear. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, that slide really resonated with me. I really loved the way it was laid out. I'm not quite ready to share a story on any of them, but I think certainly some of the key words there helped me with some of my thinking at the moment. So I like the slide, sure, and it's triggered some thoughts. Probably,
well, thank you.
I haven't got something to organize just yet to tell a story, I guess.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your truth. Like I kind of just put you guys on the spot there with that question. So I completely understand. I'll share a little bit. For me, I'm a very masculine person, and I spend a lot of time in the masculine energy. And I didn't really know when I was in my feminine energy. And if I was it in the manipulation aspect of it, or was it in the victimization? So I noticed a lot of my feminine energy showed up in toxic forms, just giving myself an overview of like the last 3 years that I really started learning about this. And so I actually created a worksheet that I'm going to give to all of you after this. Actually, I'll just show you right now because it's really cool. And then let me copy
It's
this.
really interesting you say that. I guess when I looked at that, I almost kind of recognize some of those toxic feminine energies most. So that's kind of interesting.
Beautiful. All right, where's Zoom? So I'm gonna put in the chat here. This is a link to a worksheet that I created, and this is something that you can take home, print out, maybe take a screenshot of it. And I think I have it opened up. If someone wouldn't mind opening, I think I had it open to anyone that has the link can see it. Would someone let me know if that works for them?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the wrong one. That's the workshop. Okay, sorry, wrong one. Let me go back. Okay, this is the one. Okay, let me put this one in now. Okay, so it's the second one there. Is that coming up for people?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So this, we'll just talk a little bit about this before we move on. So basically, we're about to start talking about internal family systems, but if you just scroll down, you'll see this area where I put active, passive, masculine, feminine, and then notes. And then there's a little description on how you can use this during the day. So if you want to copy that and have that, that's something you can use. And I would suggest using this every day. Come home at the end of your day before you settle down, sit in front of it and just sit in meditation for 2, 5, 10 minutes, whatever feels loving for you, and think about those energies and then map them out on here. This is a good way to track if you're more in your masculine or feminine on a day-to-day. Maybe you go to a work job that's very masculine, so you're in that space a lot. And then you can start seeing the places where you're in your feminine that you're like, ooh, I really like that. Then you could try to bring that to the workplace or bring that into a way to bring more balance. And by identifying where we're out of balance is the key to bringing us into balance. So I'm going to share the screen now. We're going to go into the next segment here. Mm. Okay. Internal family systems. So I believe the last time we've tapped into our masculine or feminine is the age that that inner child of energy is within us. So by tapping into these archetypes, we will actually see the age of this inner energy and begin to develop it. Learn how to raise this inner energy to the adult that brings balance. This is one of the most important parts of a healthy family system. This is why it is so important to tap into these energies so we're able to raise our inner masculine or feminine energy to meet us where we are at right now. Meeting your inner masculine or feminine at its youthful age is also a very beautiful aspect to bring playfulness and curiosity back into your life. When we are children, they say this is the state of Christ consciousness, because we don't care. We're not taking everything so seriously. We're playful. We're curious about things. So when we start to identify these inner archetypes, maybe this will help. When I first sat down in meditation to meet my inner masculine energy, I found a 13-year-old boy. A 13-year-old boy with baggy pants. It was me as a kid in Brooklyn when I was younger. And it's right around the time that my mom actually went to jail. So this was a huge turning point for my masculine, because I had to become the parent, the father within my family system. My mom was gay, so I wasn't raised with a lot of male influence. And I had a sister that was 3 years younger than me. So when I tapped into this energy and I met this boy, he was a punk. He was an asshole, excuse my language. And it was difficult to deal with him. And I sat with him for a while and I actually asked him, like, what's going on? Why are you feeling this way? What do you need? How can I support you? And I had these internal conversations with him until he began to open up. And then I would tell him, I'm your father. You don't need to do it on your own anymore. And this inner archetype began to trust me as a parent. My inner archetype masculine right now is in his 30s, and he is playful and he's curious and he's respectful to the feminine. He's not leaking sexual energy. He's a healthy man. When I met my inner feminine, it's like a 7-year-old girl. And I've been working on her lately, tapping into those energies. So this is the first step to inner child work, is what we're doing here. So when we begin to bring balance of these energies, bringing them into their totality of where we're at today, we create a healthy family system. Your inner masculine and your inner feminine is the mother and father archetypes within you. And when you feel healthy, if you have any past trauma or any things that are difficult when you were a child, you can then do the inner child work. You can go and see when mom and dad was yelling and you felt like it was your fault, that you could show up and be like, hey, I'm here for you. This isn't your fault. It's okay. So we're kind of getting into a little bit of psychology in this way. I'm huge of studying psychology, particularly Carl Jung, and shadow work is a lot of stuff that I do with. I also do life coaching, mindset coaching, and do this archetypal pillow work with family systems. And it is beautiful. And it's a very intimate space to be in. If it's something you don't feel comfortable doing, you can ask for support. There's people out there that know internal family systems, and there's different coaches out there that also can play in these realms. Is there any questions so far about the internal family system? No. Okay. So when we start to develop this relationship, what we're doing is we're bringing our rationality with our feelings. We're bringing in logic within intuition. We take mission orientation and bring it in together with flow. These are how we blend those energies we talked about earlier, those defined ways of the masculine and feminine, and bringing them together. This is really healthy. A lot of men's work, if you ever, any men here have been to a men's group, a lot of men's work is actually tapping into the feminine. It's about revealing our vulnerability. It's about tapping into these feelings and understanding. Our particular time that we're in is huge for Tantra in particular, because I don't know if you know about the yugas, but we're in the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is the darkest time out of all the yugas, and it's only about a 10-year period. But Tantra is the only practice that only has feminine deities. So Tantra praises to Kali, which is the expansiveness, the creator, the infinite, the woman who will chop your head off if you're not in alignment. So she's really like the great mother, ever expanding, really intense. And then there's Shakti. And Shakti is the feminine essence, the essence that comes and emerges from a safe container where it can play and also be in the space of expansiveness. So Tantra is the only one that has a feminine goddess, which is really interesting to think about that. Any questions, any comments about that part? No? Okay.
Yes, like it might have been on this slide before with that quadrant, but yeah, I just feel like hysterical popped out at me. Like it's a really funny, well, not funny, it's kind of sad, but like movie called Hysteria. Have you seen it or heard of it?
I have not, no.
It's really fascinating, actually. So like back in the day when women were not sexually fulfilled, and they would actually be going to their doctors to get some help, basically. And that's how the advent of the vibrator came about. But anyways, side note, I just feel like, this work is really, it's one of the most important practices for our times. And as both of you were mentioning, that you could see some of those aspects of the imbalanced feminine. I was also kind of resonating with some of these masculine tendencies as well, even though I tend to be like really on the feminine and yin side of things. But it's just interesting when I guess I noticed like being triggered or the shadow work, and it's like some of these like younger self, the like young boy or woman or girl like within.
Yeah.
And so I guess like in your document, it has like holding space in the quadrant of like masculine passive. So I don't know, I was a little curious about like the passive, like is that in a negative sense or just in like a more, I mean, I noticed on the other side it's an active, and it kind of reminds me of human design. I'm like on the much more passive side of things, but then I don't necessarily resonate as much with like the passive feminine. Like I guess why I'm bringing this up is because in my daily life I feel like I'm usually like holding mad space, like usually on calls or just like meetings. I mean, I've kind of had to put some boundaries around that, but I guess if I were more in my creative flows, like that's I basically have to like time block my morning period to be able to like really get that in my daily life. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying is it's not so passive, and the two different sides of whether active and passive is also internal or external. It can be looked at that way as well. Are you feeling something but you're not making it known? So you're taking it in and you're not presenting it, you're not letting it out into the world if it wants to be. Are you being active with that emotion that comes up and you speak it, whether you're alone? Like even being alone, an active emotion is, I feel sad, and to name it. And when we name the emotion, we step into more of a witness than the victim of it. So that's the difference between active and passive within that. So I use those words because when I did this workshop, people did not quite feel like I don't like to use the words positive or negative because those are dualistic, or toxic or healthy. Those are also dualistic. Passive and active don't have much of a duality to it. It is just different approaches in what is coming up for us, whether we're feeling aggressive and we're passive aggressive or we're actively being aggressive. So if those words don't work for you, cross them out, maybe put something that resonates with you a little bit more, and see how that works if you do choose to use the worksheet. Did that feel like it answered?
Yeah, I really like those words actually, and that helps with that explanation a lot too. It kind of just gives it direction, whether it's receiving or giving.
Yeah.
I was really intrigued by when I think about, you're explaining how you grew up and grew up without male role models in a more feminine household. And then when you started to look at your masculine side, there were aspects of that you didn't really like and weren't keen on. And I think about my upbringing, and I grew up in a very masculine household, lots of brothers, without that kind of strong female role model. And I've kind of identified with those negative feminine characteristics. I wonder if there's some link there. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's why this work is so important, and I think it's a great place to start in a tantric practice. Is Tantra is a practice. So to sit down and tap into those feminine energies and see what comes up for you, and journal them, write them down. Use that worksheet if it works for you. If it doesn't, just journaling about it is a good way to get it out. If you're carrying a lot of things in our subconscious, the best way to bring it into consciousness is to be the magician, to put it on paper. And then when you put it on paper, you don't have to carry it in the subconscious anymore, because now it is consciously in reality. It is here. So it brings it to the conscious mind. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I could see how that might create more of a toxic aspect in the feminine, because you haven't seen much of a healthy feminine in your life because you grew up around so much masculine energy. So it totally makes sense. And same for me. I feel, even though I hold a strong masculine pole, I'm extremely sensitive, and I understand my feelings and emotions because I was raised in a house with all women, my sister, my mom, and her girlfriend. So I think that's beautiful. Okay, so go on to this last part here that I want to share this with y'all. Okay, so coming down to the end here, this is a beautiful quote by Satguru. I thought it really resonated with me and wanted to share it with you. Tantra means you are able to use your energies to manifest your desires. If you focus on making our mind sharp, so you will be able to understand everything, this is Tantra. If you focus your energy to be more loving into your heart, become an ultimately loving and kind, and you can burst forth with immense love that is just overwhelming to everyone, this is also Tantra. If you make your physical body immensely powerful, so you'll be able to overcome incredible feats, this is also Tantra. If you can make your energies do things by itself without employing the body and mind or emotion, this is also Tantra. I thought that was beautiful. And that quote I stated in the beginning, there is no guru without a Tantra. So very, very powerful quote there. And the last thing I want to share with everyone here is because this was, where are we going here? I don't know if you could still see my screen. The last thing I wanted to share with everyone, Control C, let's get rid of that, stop sharing.
Good
Oh,
evening, and thank you for joining me for tonight's meditation.
Stop. So this particular workshop that I did, I was primarily focused in not only understanding Tantra and why we need to understand the duality that we live in life, is so that we can bring forth the energies together in the unification of those energies and oneness, to be that spinning wheel of yin and yang, the dark within the light, is so we can use these powers when we create the energy center of the unification. We become extremely powerful. We become a channel, literally a radio signal of energy that is able to call in whatever we desire. And within that, keep in mind, you can only call in desires that are within your highest alignment of your Dharma. So if your Dharma, what your energy and what you're calling in is to be a healer. Say you study Reiki, when you sit in meditation and you say, I want to feel more universal life energy, I want to feel more of that violet light of Reiki energy, then you can sit in meditation and call that in, and you actually open up what I call your love tank. And when you open up that love tank, you can fill it with Reiki energy and bring that out into the world. If you're a business person and you're wanting to actually bring in more finances for your business, whether an entrepreneur or you're working with a team, if that's highest alignment for your Dharma of what you're working on and what you're doing, when you bring yourself into balance with your colleagues, with yourself and these energies, you can take all that power of balance and actually sonar it like dolphins would out into like the ocean of reality, and whatever you're calling in, it's going to bounce off of that, and then a magnetic pull is going to happen, and boom, all of a sudden what you've been searching is searching for you. So I'm going to put in here is a link to my YouTube channel. This is a guided meditation that I did for manifestation. And if you guys want to copy that and also copy the worksheet, if it's something you want to use, I would say spend some time with those and see how that works for you. If those particular things really resonate with you, then feel free to reach out to me as well. I have lots of other workshops that I do, and I love sharing this information. That's why I do donation based, is because I'm not here to make money. I'm here to evolve the consciousness of humanity. For me, that is my Dharma. How can I share from a humble place of service and give? And within that, even if I had 20 people on here and no one gave me money, I would get off this call, go do something tomorrow, and finances would come in. And it wouldn't come from you. It would come from the energy exchange of giving. And that would just come to me from another place. And I truly believe that that is the highest form of Tantra, is to trust, to let go, and allow what wants to unfold. For everything is truly in our highest alignment if we learn to see it that way. So does everyone have that link? You guys have that?
Yep, got it. Great.
Cool. So that's the end of my presentation, and I opened up to any question, story, anything that people would like to share. This is the time.
I just want to
No?
say thank you. I just want to say thanks. This is really not the kind of thing I'd normally tap into, but as I say, I've been reading a lot about Tantra and about energy flows and stuff, and yeah, a lot of it resonated, and I really appreciate the workshop. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harmesh, for saying that. I appreciate you coming today and stepping into something that might have been a little uncomfortable for you, to learn something new, and to trust me to teach you what I've learned. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you and sharing all of this. Yeah, I'm excited to play with that worksheet, and that meditation seems really cool too. So yeah, so much fun stuff to share with each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you again, both of you, so much for coming and joining. Even though it's just a small group of us today, I feel honored to have this, and honored to have it recorded, and just be in the energy with both of you has felt great. I would love to end by just taking our hands, putting it together at our heart center, taking 3 breaths into yourself, focusing your energy inward. Absorb in all that knowledge, and then bow to your heart center. Namaste. Thank you. Many blessings. Enjoy the rest of your life, and the rest of your night, and the rest of your life.
Awesome. Thank you. Blessed
All right.
night. Thanks, Hamish. See you later.